walked into a room and felt the atmosphere shift, without a word, without a glance. Yet somehow, people responded to you as though you carried a storm just beneath your skin. There's a kind of presence, quiet and unintentional, that speaks louder than voice. It is not about appearance, or charisma, or even action. It's something deeper, what some might call your aura. A silent force shaped by your inner life, your emotional landscape, your truth. And sometimes, without ever meaning to, that truth unsettles others. It isn't because you are unkind or arrogant. It's because, as philosopher Soren Kierkegaard might say, the self that dares to be authentic inevitably becomes a mirror in which others see their own masks. Welcome. In this gentle exploration, we'll walk through 8 signs. Your presence may quietly disturb others, not because of anything wrong with you, but because your way of being invites a kind of existential honesty that can feel dangerous to those still clinging to pretense. With reflections from various thinkers like Jung, Nietzsche, de Beauvoir, and Marcus Aurelius, and more, we'll uncover what your presence might be whispering without you even knowing. So, take a breath, settle in, and let's begin with the first sign. Number 1. You carry an uncompromising integrity. There's a particular stillness in those who walk through life with uncompromising integrity. It's not loud or forceful. It doesn't need to be. It radiates quietly, like the weight of a mountain or the silence of an old cathedral. This kind of integrity is unnerving to some because it refuses to bend to convenience, to performance, or to approval. The Danish philosopher Soren Kierkegaard spoke of the single individual, one who lives not by external validation, but by an inner relationship to truth. For Kierkegaard, to live authentically is to stand alone in one's conviction, even when the crowd mocks or misunderstands. It's a kind of existential courage, a faithfulness to one's own soul that can't be faked or borrowed. Nietzsche, too, revered this quality. He called it the will to power, not a thirst for dominance over others, but the strength to become who you truly are. The one who dares to speak from their center, who sheds the social masks and says what they actually believe, embodies a kind of dangerous clarity, not because they seek to threaten, but because their very existence calls others to account. People often fear what they cannot control, and a person of integrity cannot be manipulated. They do not flatter, they do not follow, they simply are. And in that presence, others may feel their own compromises begin to burn like salt on the skin. Imagine someone in a meeting who gently speaks an unpopular truth, without aggression, without pride, simply because it needs to be said. The room tightens, eyes shift, laughter grows nervous. What they've done is not dramatic, but they have shattered the unspoken agreement to remain comfortable, to avoid depth. That is the weight of integrity. It unsettles not through violence but through presence, and many will retreat from such a person, not because they dislike them, but because they are not ready to meet themselves in the mirror they provide. Integrity, then, is like a lantern in a dark hallway. It doesn't force anyone to walk forward, but it reveals what's there, and that light, honest and unwavering, can be both a guide and a disruption. As we move deeper, we'll explore another kind of aura that unsettles, not through truth alone, but through the echo of solitude. For some, your calm detachment may speak louder than your words ever could. Number 2. You radiate a stoic detachment. There is a certain calmness in those who embody stoic detachment, a serene distance from the turbulent currents of emotion and circumstance that so often sweep others away. This detachment is not cold indifference but a profound inner steadiness, like a lighthouse standing firm against stormy seas. The Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius, one of Stoicism's great exemplars, urged us to embrace what lies beyond our control with quiet acceptance. To him, true power was not in shaping the world to our liking, but in shaping our own responses to it. This quiet mastery creates an aura that can be misunderstood. It can feel as if one is aloof or unreachable, when in fact they are deeply rooted in an inner sanctuary of reason and balance. Epictetus, a former slave turned philosopher, taught that freedom arises precisely through this detachment, the freedom to choose one's attitude no matter what external chaos unfolds. Such individuals do not crumble beneath criticism or praise. They observe the ebb and flow of life with a steady gaze, neither clinging nor rejecting. Imagine meeting someone who listens with unwavering calm, who offers no rash judgment, but also reveals no inner turmoil. This silent composure can unsettle those used to emotional theater or reactive conflict. It challenges them to face their own storms without distraction. The presence of such a person holds a quiet challenge to find peace not outside, but within. This kind of stoic detachment does not create distance out of disconnection, but rather out of an unshakable center. Like a mountain above the clouds, it may seem remote, but it offers refuge, a place untouched by the winds of external circumstance. Those who encounter it may feel a subtle pull of both admiration and unease, sensing an invitation to cultivate their own inner calm. Yet, as we turn to the next sign, we will explore how your aura might also unsettle, because it silently holds space for the shadows you carry within, an invitation to confront not only peace, but also the hidden depths of your own. Number 3. You perceive hidden motives. There are those among us who see beneath the surface of words and gestures, who intuit the unspoken currents that steer human behavior. This perceptiveness can feel like a burden as much as a gift, for to glimpse the hidden motives of others is to peer into a shadowy realm often veiled in self-deception and denial. Carl Jung, the great explorer of the psyche, spoke of the unconscious, those layers of the self that are not immediately visible, yet profoundly shape our actions. He believed that to be attuned to these hidden forces is to hold a mirror, not only to others, but also to the depths within ourselves. This heightened sensitivity means you can sense when words mask intentions, when kindness hides self-interest, or when silence shields fear. Philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer added a darker lens to this insight. He saw human behavior as largely driven by an insatiable will, an underlying force that seeks to satisfy desires often cloaked in rationalizations. To perceive these hidden motives is to confront the raw machinery of human nature, stripped of illusions. This piercing awareness can make your presence disconcerting, as if you carry a subtle radar for insincerity or hidden agendas. Imagine being in a conversation where others speak in polite phrases, yet you feel an undercurrent of calculation or avoidance. Your aura, charged with this deep seeing, unsettles because it refuses to be deceived or distracted. Yet this clarity is not merely a defensive armor. It is a call to authenticity, inviting others, and yourself, to step beyond masks and pretense, to live honestly in the light of inner truths, no matter how uncomfortable. Such a presence can inspire transformation, though it may first provoke discomfort. As we move forward, we begin to glimpse how this perceptive quality intertwines with a more primal force within, the intensity of your emotional undercurrents, a power that too can both repel and attract. Like a deep well that reveals both clarity and darkness, your aura carries the weight of seeing and being seen with unflinching honesty. Number 4. You embrace solitude over shallow company. There is a quiet strength in choosing solitude, not as loneliness, but as a deliberate refuge from the clamor of superficial connections. This preference for depth over distraction often sets one apart, creating an aura that can feel both serene and unsettling to those accustomed to constant social noise. Henry David Thoreau, in his retreat to Walden Pond, celebrated solitude as a means to confront the essential truths of life, to strip away the distractions imposed by society, and to cultivate a relationship with one's own authentic self. For those who share this inclination, the world's shallow chatter can seem hollow, and their presence radiates a subtle message. Meaningful connection cannot be rushed or feigned. Martin Heidegger offers a profound philosophical lens to this preference, emphasizing being toward death and the authentic existence that arises when one faces life's finitude in solitude. Heidegger saw solitude not as mere isolation, but as a space where one can encounter the true self, freed from the they, the anonymous crowd that dilutes individuality and meaning. This solitude is a space of contemplation and being, a silent crucible where the soul refines itself. When you naturally gravitate toward this solitude, your aura carries a calm, almost sacred stillness that can seem impenetrable or distant to others. It speaks of someone who does not seek approval or distraction, but embraces their own inner world with quiet reverence. Imagine a garden where only the rarest flowers bloom, requiring careful tending and silence to thrive. Those who cherish solitude are like these rare blooms, vibrant, profound, yet often misunderstood by the hurried masses. This quiet insistence on solitude signals to others a depth that cannot be casually approached, a sacred space guarded by your very presence. As we reflect on this, we begin to glimpse how solitude intertwines with the intense emotional undercurrents within you, an emotional depth that can both protect and isolate. Like a deep, still lake reflecting hidden storms beneath its surface, your preference for solitude invites us to explore what stirs silently within. If these ideas are stirring something within you, feel free to pause and share your thoughts or questions in the comments. This is a space for gentle reflection and shared discovery. I'll also like to hear from you if these signs mentioned resonate with you. Let's continue. Number 5. You ask deep questions. To ask deep questions is to engage in a restless dialogue with the world and oneself, a quest that unsettles the surface calm and stirs the still waters of everyday certainty. Socrates famously declared that the unexamined life is not worth living, inviting us into an unending inquiry that disrupts complacency and demands that we confront the foundations of our beliefs, values, and existence. When your aura carries this hunger for understanding, it can unsettle others who prefer simpler, more comfortable answers. Your presence signals a refusal to accept appearances at face value. Instead, you peel back layers, searching for what lies beneath. This questioning is not mere skepticism, but a sacred tension, an openness to mystery and paradox that both enlightens and isolates. Albert Camus, with his philosophy of the absurd, deepens this image of questioning as an encounter with the void. For Camus, the search for meaning in an indifferent universe is itself an act of rebellion, a courageous affirmation in the face of silence. Those who embody this spirit of inquiry often radiate a quiet seriousness that invites both admiration and unease. They live amid contradictions, aware that some questions resist neat resolution. To ask such questions is to live on the edge of existential tension, where hope and despair intertwine. Your aura thus may seem to carry a weight, a palpable sense that beneath everyday interactions lies a profound struggle with the meaning of being. Imagine a traveler who walks beneath the vast night sky, eyes fixed not just on the path ahead, but on the stars themselves, seeking their secrets. This traveler's gaze, intense and unwavering, draws others' attention, sometimes discomforting them with the sheer depth of presence. Your habit of deep questioning is like this traveler's gaze, piercing through illusions and inviting those around you to awaken from their own half-sleep. Yet, this same intensity can create distance, a reminder that true understanding requires a solitude of thought and a bravery of heart. As we contemplate this, we begin to see how your probing mind is entwined with a profound emotional undercurrent. Like a river running deep beneath a calm surface, moving silently yet powerfully toward truth. Number 6. You reflect emotional depth and intensity. There is a certain gravity in the presence of those who embody emotional depth, a complexity of feeling that seems to ripple beneath the surface like a hidden ocean, vast and sometimes storm-tossed. Rainer Maria Rilke, the poet who urged us to live the questions now, understood that profound emotion is not merely a passing state, but a fundamental way of engaging with the world. To reflect such intensity is to carry an aura that can both draw others close and push them away, as it reveals not just joy or sorrow, but the entire spectrum of human existence with unflinching honesty. This emotional richness, often sensed intuitively by others, may unsettle those who shy away from confronting their own inner shadows. Fyodor Dostoevsky, in his exploration of the human soul, depicted characters who wrestle with the darkest depths of despair and the highest heights of spiritual longing. His work reveals how emotional intensity often coincides with existential struggle, a restless search for meaning amid suffering. When your aura pulses with this kind of intensity, it can feel like carrying a flame in the wind, illuminating, yet vulnerable. People sense this flame, sometimes with admiration, sometimes with discomfort, for it illuminates what is often hidden within themselves. It is as if you hold a mirror to the tumultuous, often contradictory nature of human feeling, an invitation to face the raw and authentic beneath the polished facade. Consider a solitary figure standing at the edge of a vast canyon at twilight, feeling both the weight of silence and the immensity of the world stretched out below. This image evokes the emotional depth that shapes your presence. Profound, reflective, sometimes daunting in its honesty, your aura, charged with this intensity, resists superficial lightness. It calls others to meet you not in distraction, but in the profound space of shared vulnerability. As this depth quietly resonates, it naturally leads us to recognize the subtle boundaries you maintain, an inner world rich and private that bring us to the next sign of your presence. One shaped by how you hold and guard your own energies like a careful guardian of the self. Number 7. You maintain boundaries without apology. To maintain personal boundaries without apology is to assert one's dignity and freedom with quiet conviction, a stance both firm and graceful, rooted in an unshakable understanding of self-respect. Simone de Beauvoir, whose existential ethics urged us to recognize the freedom of the self while honoring the freedom of others, teaches that boundaries are not walls to isolate, but lines that define our integrity and authenticity. When you hold your limits clearly, without excuse or regret, you embody a form of moral courage. This act refuses to sacrifice your inner truth merely to appease the desires or discomforts of others. Instead, it invites a respect that can be unsettling to those unaccustomed to such clarity. Immanuel Kant's moral philosophy complements this idea by emphasizing the inherent worth of the individual as an end in themselves, never to be used merely as a means to another's end. Boundaries, then, are a recognition of this inherent dignity, an insistence that your autonomy is inviolable. When you draw these lines firmly, you communicate a profound respect for yourself and, paradoxically, invite others to treat you with the same respect. This firmness can sometimes cast a shadow of discomfort around you because it resists the often invisible pressures to conform or to please. Yet, it is precisely this boundary setting that forms the backbone of your aura's unsettling power. It signals a self who will not be diminished or diluted. Imagine a tree standing alone on a windswept hill, its roots gripping the earth tightly, branches spread yet contained within their natural form. It neither bends unnecessarily to every gust nor breaks under the storm's force. This image captures the essence of boundary setting without apology, a presence that commands space, invites respect, and quietly warns that encroachment will meet resistance. As this tree stands firm in its solitude, so too do you prepare to navigate the final, often hidden dimension of your presence, the subtle tensions between revealing and concealing, an aura shaped as much by what remains unspoken as by what is openly expressed. Number 8. You exist as a mirror to the inauthentic. To exist as a mirror to the inauthentic is to hold a silent, unyielding gaze upon those who wear masks, those who live beneath the surface of their own truth. Martin Heidegger, in his profound exploration of being, warned us of the perils of inauthenticity, a state in which individuals surrender themselves to the anonymous crowd, losing sight of their own most potential. When you embody an authentic presence, you inevitably reflect back to others the stark contrast between their genuine self and the roles they perform. This reflection is often unsettling because it exposes the fissures beneath the polished facades. Your aura becomes a quiet disruptor, an unspoken challenge to the comfortable illusions that many cling to. Carl Jung deepened this insight through his understanding of the shadow, the hidden, often denied parts of ourselves that, when unacknowledged, manifest as projections onto others. Your authentic being, in contrast, refuses to indulge in such deception. Instead, it acts as a mirror revealing the shadow in others, forcing a confrontation with their inner contradictions and falsehoods. This dynamic is neither accusatory nor judgmental. Rather, it is an invitation, sometimes resisted, sometimes avoided, to awaken from the slumber of self-deception. It is precisely this capacity to evoke discomfort that can make your presence so quietly feared, for it unsettles the equilibrium of those not yet ready to face their own depths. Imagine standing before a still lake at dawn, the water perfectly calm and reflective. In its surface, every distorted tree branch or cloud is revealed without distortion or excuse. Those who dare to look into this mirror see themselves as they truly are, without the veil of pretense. To be this mirror is to offer clarity that demands courage, and in that clarity, to hold a space where transformation begins. As this reflection invites a deeper awakening, so too does it prepare us to understand the final resonance of your aura, a presence that, while often misunderstood, pulses with the profound power of truth unveiled. As we come to the close of this quiet exploration, we've walked together through the contours of an invisible presence, one that carries integrity, radiates calm detachment, perceives beyond the surface, and embraces solitude. We have seen how this aura, often misunderstood or even feared, is not a shadow to be hidden, but a light that reveals profound truths about ourselves and the world around us. Through the wisdom of Kierkegaard, Marcus Aurelius, Jung, and others, we glimpsed how authenticity, reflection, and courage converge in the silent power of being. This journey invites us to consider what it means to truly inhabit ourselves with honesty and depth, even if that presence unsettles others. It asks us to hold space for the delicate tension between connection and solitude, between comfort and challenge. The question that opened this meditation, what unseen force do we carry that affects others without our knowing, finds a gentle answer. It is the quiet echo of our own soul striving for truth. To live authentically, then, is to be both a beacon and a mirror, sometimes feared, always vital. In the words of the philosopher Soren Kierkegaard, the most painful state of being is remembering the future. Perhaps this unease is the price of awakening, a call to live more deeply, more honestly. May you carry this reflection softly, allowing it to inspire a gentle courage, to be seen as you are, to embrace the solitude that nourishes, and to walk your path with unshakable presence. In that stillness, we find not just ourselves, but a profound connection to the unfolding mystery of life itself. Thank you for taking this moment of reflection with me. If you feel moved, I'd love to hear your own experiences or insights in the comments below. Our shared journey deepens when we listen to each other. And also consider joining this growing community by subscribing.